Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. My name is Nara from 1237 Ventures, and today we are welcoming you all to our webinar series in conjunction of the launch of Alpha Startups Inno for Her. Alpha Startups Inno for Her is an accelerator program for femtech and female-focused solutions. The program is open to startups at any stage, welcoming founders of all genders whose solution address key gaps in women's health. Let's find out more about this program.
From the first milestone to the next, women's health and wellness have always been at the heart of innovation. At Alpha Startups Accelerator INNO for Her, we're empowering startups to shape a better future for women. Whether you're building solutions for menstrual health, personalized healthcare, or beyond, this is your moment to innovate. Every woman's journey begins with the milestones of growing up, like menstrual health. We're looking for innovations that empower women at every age. With the right solutions, women can take control of their reproductive health, from fertility to contraception. Maternal health is essential. Innovative solutions can make the journey from preconception to postpartum safer and easier. As women transition through menopause, innovative solutions are key to maintaining quality of life and empowerment. From wearable tech to smart health devices, empowering women with technology is the future. Are you ready to transform the future of women's health and wellness? Apply for the Elite Ventures Alpha Startups Accelerator in NO for Her. Join the accelerator to gain access to mentoring sessions with industry experts to guide your growth, support to help you reach product market fit and successfully launch, digital credits to kickstart your startup, fundraising support, connecting you with a network of investors.
Alpha Startups for Women!
Apply now. Registration closes on February 6th.
So here are a few things I would like to share about the program. So here are the 6 key focus areas that we're focusing on this program. As you can see, we have personalized healthcare up until wearable technology for women health. And why we started this, for her is because we want to bridge the gap of femtech solutions. And today's webinar is part of a larger series of webinar where we explore different stages of womanhood. Previously, we had menstrual health, and we also talked about womanhood issues in adulthood. So in this session, what we're going to do is we're going to dive deeper into the importance of maternal health. And today, I would like to introduce our speaker, Lavinie Thiruchelvam. In 2011, Lavinie co-founded Babydash. Driven by her own experience as a working mother, she actually sought to solve a common problem, those frustrating long queues and last-minute midnight runs to find diapers or formula milk. Recognizing the untapped potential of e-commerce at that time, she launched Babydash, an online platform offering essential baby items like diapers and formula. And now, 14 years later, Babydash is a trusted name in Malaysia for parents and also people who just want to buy gifts for kids, known for its wide range of products, including natural and organic options. It is a platform many of us Malaysians have likely shopped on. So please join me in welcoming Lavinie to this webinar. Right. So now Lavinie is going to share a little bit about Babydash. Yeah, Lavinie, the floor is yours.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Nara. Just making sure that I'm clear. You guys can hear me? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, hi, everyone. It is indeed a pleasure to be here today. Happy to share a little bit about my journey and definitely looking forward to an interesting dialogue together with Nara and how we can talk about how the landscape for mummies have changed from the time I first became a mummy a long time ago, right up to this point where you have lots of young mummies now who are going through various challenges. So we started Babydash in 2011. At that time, nobody was doing diapers, milk, and all the necessities online. So at that time, if you needed to buy your diapers or your milk, you would have to go to Village Grocer or Jaya Grocer to buy your diapers and your milk. If you needed to buy a car seat or stroller, you would have to go to one of the baby shops So essentially, the idea of Babydash is to make it a one-stop shop, which has everything that you will find in a supermarket for moms and babies, and everything that you will find like in mother care and those kind of brick and mortar baby shops in the mall, where you can get toys, your baby cots, car seats. So everything comes under one roof for Babydash. So you don't literally you don't have to leave the house. Everything is on our platform. So yeah, in that sense, we make parents' lives a lot easier and very much convenient. Nara, if you can move to the next slide. So basically, we launched in Malaysia, and then in 2019, we also launched into Singapore. So we've got separate Singapore website. And going forward, we will look to see what are the other countries that we can penetrate in, and we're actually working on those options already. We work with all the trusted brands, and we only sell official original brands. So we work with all the official brand owners. So that builds the trust and the credibility in what we do. Because if you go on some of the marketplaces, you will see that not everything there might be authentic. So it's very important in the mom and baby space to ensure that everything that we have is absolutely original and has its relevant warranties and all the trusted factors that come with an original item. So yes, trust is key. And today we have over 12,000 items on our website, which is a lot. Yeah, a lot of people say it's a lot, but we're growing. So every week, actually, we're adding on new items. So ask me in a year's time, it won't be 12,000 anymore, probably be 13,000 or almost 14,000. Yes, that's how fast we're adding on stuff. Nara, the next slide, please. So yeah, this is just a quick value proposition of what we do. Sorry, a bit of a cough. So yeah, we also make sure that our pricing is actually the lowest or rather the most competitive, which is why we have huge cost savings. So besides having, a trusted platform with strong reviews and a great product offering, we want to make sure that we're giving moms the best value. So wherever we can give the best discounts, we do that across the board. We import a lot of stuff coming in. So that's why you'll see stuff coming in from all over the world and a lot of really great brands that quite hard to find in Malaysia. And on top of that, we do very fast delivery, 1 to 2 days. And we also do same day delivery if you're in Klang Valley. So that's just a nutshell of Babydash to give everybody an idea. And you might have some questions, or maybe you are looking to build things which you might generate some, or you might get some ideas from what we've already built. And then from here, you might want to go on deeper into the femtech area. And I'm happy to have those conversations. I think enough about a quick Babydash introduction. Nara, let's have a good dialogue and chat away.
I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. So today's format is different from our previous webinars. We are going to have a dialogue where I'm going to ask her questions and she's going to answer the questions. And basically what we're going to cover today is the role and the challenges and the opportunities around modern moms. So I myself am a modern mom. I have a toddler. I've been a mom for 2.5 years now. So I'm really excited to have this dialogue here today. So let's start with the first question. Lavinie, how do you think the roles and expectation of mothers have evolved, especially as more women today balance career, family, and personal aspirations?
Yeah, so when you talk about roles evolving, if you just look at the last 10 to 20 years, I think it's the same struggle that women would have gone through 10 years ago and even 20 years ago. Because if you just look at, let's take the whole range of 20 years, women were already strongly in the workforce. So a lot of moms are working moms, and they're trying to balance home, they're trying to balance pregnancy, and then eventually delivery, and then you have maybe 2, 3 kids after that. So the whole balance of career, life in general, and managing a family actually hasn't changed very much. It's always been a challenge. But now the question is, what are the interesting tools that have come up over the years that can then assist moms in their journey? So 20 years ago, there was not much out there. But today, you've got some interesting tools that can help young moms. And then from here, there should be more that should be developed as well. So yeah, I think the mom's role and those challenges have always been the same. It's about how we can help the mom better going forward through these challenges.
Very true. Can you walk us through the different stages of motherhood and highlight one unique challenges or needs at each stage? So motherhood is actually, I think a lot of people just think that motherhood just starts the day you deliver your child. It actually starts pre-pregnancy,
Yeah.
pregnancy, and postpartum. So I'm really keen to know, what do you think are the unique challenges or needs at each stage? Let's start with pre-pregnancy.
Sure. So if you break that down into three different milestones, you have your first trimester, your second trimester, and your third trimester, and all three are very challenging. So I think if you're asking me what are the challenges at that point, I think the biggest one, especially for first-time mom, is that she doesn't know what's coming. As in she's never experienced it before. So, all the ups and downs, the mood swings, the relevant milestones that you need to be on top of when you go and see your doctor and all those things. It's just, even though you might read about it, you might have some idea about it, but as you're going through it, it's totally a new experience. And another challenge is the fact that your hubby is also in it for the first time and he's not experiencing it, but he's not able to understand fully what the new young mom is going through. So that is quite a challenge because there are a lot of ups and downs in this time. And I think the first trimester is probably it's quite hard because that's when it first hits you with a bang. And even things like morning sickness, generally it's in the first trimester and it tapers off into the second trimester. So yeah, I think the whole body change and the whole outlook in that entire 9 months is a whole challenge in itself. Yeah.
What about like postpartum? What do you think are unique challenge or needs at postpartum? Some you think innovation is needed.
I tell you something, one critical area is postpartum depression. And it is maybe, I don't know if you would consider it a taboo subject now, but this postpartum issue has always been there. It's just that a lot of people, in the past, it was not even something people talked about. So, when I had my first child, about 20 years ago, actually, nobody even talked about it. It was not even a tagline. Today, yes, it is. But at that time, so many people around me, most of my friends, went through it and they just thought they were being moody or mood. So we didn't realize it was actually a, 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 a symptom of postpartum that needed to be dealt with. And today you do have, because of the awareness, some young moms will actually go and have to speak to a therapist and those kind of things. And you have support groups, those kind of things. But it's becoming a little bit more accepted. But that's in the West. In Asia, maybe not so, it's not as widespread or not as widely known. So I think that is a very unique challenge which needs to be addressed because at this point you've just given birth to your child needs all the care in the world and there's so many changes, and if the mom is going through a difficult emotional turmoil with postpartum issues, then it becomes hard for her to manage the new child plus her own issues. So I think this is a very important area to sort of like study and delve into.
Yeah, like just to add on to what you're saying, like something that I've been noticing and reading about, it actually takes about 2 years for a mom to feel herself again. And
Mm,
in a personal experience, I do agree with that. It actually took me around 2 years, 2.5 years to actually start feeling myself, like a little bit of myself again. And a huge part of it actually has to play with the hormones. So do
yeah.
you think, like based on what you've noticed, do you think that there should be innovations related to femtech, like addressing like hormone management? Because when you give birth, your hormone is all over the place. And like you mentioned, new moms, they don't know what's happening. Do you
Yeah.
think something like a innovation in hormone management, like a watch or an app was telling that, oh, okay, I'm going through this and this is what I need to do or
Yeah.
something. What do you think?
No, I think that's brilliant. In fact, if things, I think this is an area which someone, needs to work with doctors, and this and that kind of thing. But in particular with gynecologists who already know what a mom is potentially going to be going through. And if there's a little storyboard like, okay, after you deliver, if you're feeling A, B, C, D, then and there's a little educational piece about that could be, and which a roadmap. So if there's an app which moms can answer how they're feeling, and then one thing leads to another. I guess AI comes into this as well. Right now, there's plenty of AI stuff for like ChatGPT. Ask it any question. Yes, great, and it's brilliant once you teach it the area which you're zooming in on. But in all these things, everything is very broad. There isn't one which is very much focused on women's health, women's issues, and whatnot. So if there is an app which deals with not just, I mean, postpartum is one, but pre-pregnancy as well. So if there's a holistic app which can then record all the issues a mom is going through, I think that would be brilliant. That would help her tremendously, because then she can talk to this app which says, I'm feeling A, B, C, D, and I'm having these symptoms. So the more knowledge that's fed into this app, this AI sort of thing, it will then be able to churn out, okay, looks like it'll give answers back. Looks like you are facing A, B, C, D. And these are the recommended solutions, or, perhaps you can have, I don't know, some kind of nutrition or whatever it is to help combat, that sort of thing. So I think what you've just suggested is brilliant, and I don't think it exists yet. So definitely something that people should be thinking about building.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that app can be connected to a wearable like a watch, so
Yeah.
that things, and there are a lot of things that the app can actually tell in terms of like our moods and hormones. That'll be very helpful for new
Yeah.
moms, actually. Yeah.
And that ties into what we were talking about earlier, because you asked me earlier about what are the challenges that have changed throughout time. So the challenges haven't changed. It's just that if we had this conversation 20 years ago, nobody will understand what you mean by creating an app and something on the watch which can detect, or this AI, because it didn't exist then. But now technology has moved towards that point where we have this conversation now, and it makes sense. People can understand what we're saying and can think of the concept and how they need to build something to suit the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a company in Philippines that actually can predict employee resignation. Maybe that's, with AI, maybe there can be technology or innovation that actually can predict things earlier, like early detection. That I think would be
Yeah,
useful for moms, right? So
absolutely.
yeah. The next question I will ask is, you work with moms a lot, right? And you
Yeah.
hear their feedback. And what do you think are the gaps do you see in how society currently support moms? And how do you think innovation and technology can step up to fill these needs?
I think there's tremendous improvement, actually. Like, for example, when you talk about the workplace, many years ago, women could not even breastfeed at work. And, today you have all those tools. You've got breastfeeding rooms. You go into a shopping mall, for example, when you're with your kids and whatnot, you've got breastfeeding rooms. You never had that last time, So I think these things, it definitely evolved in the workplace and also at leisure centers, that sort of thing, where it is now more inclusive to include what a mom is going through. And breastfeeding is just part of it. You've got other parts of the journey as well. So, like, for example, when you're feeding your child as well, and you're outside, you've got all these interesting products that have come into play which did not exist before. A lot of innovative items. So I think we come a long way. There's more to create, of course, going forward. But I think kudos to a lot of the companies out there who've already created things to support the mother's journey. Yeah. Does that sort of answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
Like in terms of breastfeeding, there's also like breast pumps,
Yeah.
and there are also bottles where you can store your milk longer. So
Yeah.
definitely come a long way.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of motherhood, it's a very niche market,
Yeah.
and every mom's experience is different. For example, like I was saying earlier, like a mom who's fully breastfeeding, her hormones might be different, a formula
Yeah.
feed hormones might be different. Each of them have different needs. It's a very niche market, and if the innovation that can actually provide a solution that is so targeted, I think a lot, as we grow, as we go through the years, I think it will be very helpful.
Actually, building on that, when we were talking about the app just now, let's just zoom in on, since we're talking about breastfeeding, because overall, the whole motherhood journey is so big. There's so many topics to talk about. But since we're already talking about breastfeeding, now let's zoom in into the problem of that, right? So when you're breastfeeding a child, you have a schedule, generally a rough schedule. So if you know you're feeding your child every 3 hours, let's say you start at 9 a.m. and you're feeding from your left side and you fully empty out the left side, then I know your next schedule is for 12 o'clock. But of course, things can happen along the way. The baby might fall asleep and this, that, it might move to 12 o'clock to 12:30. So how do moms keep track of all this? Like in my day, I used to have a notebook and write these things down. But if when we're talking about the app just now, which has components of the motherhood journey, you can have a big section on that app, which allows a mom to input her breastfeeding timing, her schedule into that, right? And then she doesn't have to write down on scraps of paper or notebook, oh, this was the first feed, this is the second feed, the timing, and say if she's also recording the poop of the baby because she needs to know that the baby is or these kind of things need to be recorded for your baby's well-being, because if you go and see your next appointment with your pediatrician, she'll say, okay, how's the flow, how's we were talking about food, they'll say, okay, how frequent is it, what color is it, all those things which you want to record. If you have an app which can put everything into from the breastfeeding journey to all those little things, then it makes perfect sense, so yeah, it's a very big topic, motherhood, with so many things. So it's developing all those subtopics into one big maternity come post-pregnancy app as an idea.
Yeah, what do you think about innovation in early detection? Because like there are so many of us who, like become pregnant and then we just go through the pregnancy and suddenly like you're faced with something that you've never faced before. Like for me, I was diagnosed with the risk of preeclampsia and I've never heard of this. I don't know what is this. And then the doctor said that you have to take medication and then I'm freaking out. Do I have to take this? Will it harm
Yeah.
my baby? So what are your thoughts on early detection or early prevention technologies?
Again, I think it comes back to the AI. So if let's say a mom is using an app, like an everyday thing where you answer questions or you put how you're feeling and what are the symptoms you're going through, and then the app then churns out the answer saying you could be going through A or B, and then you can answer more questions based on what the AI is suggesting to you to zoom in on what the actual problem is, right? So I think that's great because then suddenly the mom has, based on what she has fed into the AI tool, is getting some answers which she can then go and find out more about all through the phone. It's as simple as that, to educate herself so that when she does go and speak to a medical practitioner, she's able to say, this is how I'm feeling. I've put it into my app and these are some of the answers I've got. How can, she can get support and she can get some direction, or rather she's even able to explain herself better because she's put in all her thoughts and feelings and whatever she's going through into an app. It's recorded instantly. And I think that's important because when you're going through something, right? If I ask you 1 week from today, oh, what was it like that you went through? What did you feel at that point? If you didn't write a lot of those things down, you'll probably forget. You probably only remember 10% or 15% of it, right? But if you're able to record these things or to an AI sort of thing as you're going through and experiencing things, suddenly a lot more of your symptoms are actually being recorded, and you probably get to this to a solution faster, So I think it's great if somebody can come up with this,
Yeah, that's true. Well, based on what I've noticed, there are a lot of technologies coming up for moms. Definitely, we need more to be done because, like you mentioned, it's when you talk about motherhood, it's a huge spectrum. There's
Yeah,
so many things, and we only have one brain, and in that
yeah,
brain, there's so many things inside that brain,
yeah,
and yeah, we look forward to more startups innovating in this maternal care space that makes our life way easier.
absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
you like I mentioned earlier, you work with a lot of moms, right? What are
yeah.
the most common struggles that they express, like in terms of like maternal care things, not about so much about worrying about the baby or the taking care of the child, but things that you notice that they express about themselves.
Things that they express about. Well, I think
Health.
the biggest thing is the fact that they are juggling a lot every day. So what's common on Baby Dash is you'll find mums very last minute, they realize they've come down to the last tin of milk if their child is on formula, or last packet of diapers, literally only one or two left, and they don't have time to run out to the store to buy something. So they want to, right. So they want to buy something online, and they want to have my team deliver it instantly within 2 hours, which we can do if they're in Klang Valley. But this is so common every day. If you think about it, right? Same day delivery is a premium. We can't do same day delivery for free, right? But if somebody buys something on our website and they choose standard delivery, yes, we can do like 1 to 2 working days, that sort of thing. But when it's same day delivery, the fact that people are willing to pay means they are desperate. So I have enough desperate moms on our website every day without fail. Like today alone, I don't know how many same day deliveries went out. And so to answer your question, what are the main? I think this is a challenge because moms are juggling so much that they need they're bound to miss out things because they're trying to be as organized as possible. But yet it comes down to, oh dear, I'm down to the last packet of diapers or last two pieces. I didn't even realize I was running out. So yeah, so I think it's about how can we help moms to be more organized using technology to be able to like, for example, an idea behind that would be to do subscription. I thought of that actually, whereby we just send a packet of diapers according to the timing of how frequently a mom needs to change. So that's something that needs to be fine-tuned and worked on. So maybe that's something. Yeah.
That's quite, the subscription is a very good idea.
Mm.
Yeah. So on Baby Dash, right, there's so many products related to mom care, baby,
Yeah.
all that. Based on your experience being in this field related to moms, what are some of the latest trends and technologies in maternal care that excites you? That you think that, wow, this is really exciting for moms. I can't wait for them to try.
Mm.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a lot of interesting stuff in terms of the kind of technology, right? So if you imagine, like this week alone, I can share with you. There's this bassinet. It's like let's imagine a mini cot, okay? And then you put your baby inside, and then you can press different buttons, and it's like moves. It's an automated. Sorry, ignore that in the background. Yeah. So if you imagine, you can press different buttons, and the cot moves according to the rhythm that you want to soothe your baby and that kind of thing. And only one brand does that in Malaysia, but it's a very expensive tool. And it's difficult to get it. And now this week alone, we've had two moms say to us, we desperately want that kind of cot where we can put our baby in, and you press a button, it might swing in a circular motion, or it might swing in a lulling motion. Then you've got music, you've got all that. So it's very high technology. It's a very sensitive sort of bassinet, but it's not something everybody can afford. That we were selling that, and it cost like 2,600 for that bassinet, which is a lot of money. And because it's so expensive, and a lot of people can't afford it, but yet they want this item. So an interesting challenge would be for a brand to come up with exactly this concept, but a fraction of the price. So more people can afford it. And basically, you put your baby there, put your baby to sleep, and it lulls your baby to sleep for you using technology, all the different movements and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody should create something for moms also, not just the babies, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Postpartum is just so hard on the body, and women
Correct.
really need to heal from it. And
Yeah.
again, every mom's experience is different. Some will have an easy delivery, some might have it even more difficult. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, since we're talking about femtech and innovation, why do you think innovation is so important in maternal care, in your own words?
Because it solves problems. It's as simple as that. Why innovate? You innovate because you want to solve a problem, right? And sometimes you need to solve one problem before you discover there's another problem to be solved. So there needs to be constant innovation to constantly solve growing and different problems. And in maternal care, some things are pretty straightforward, but some things you don't discover till much later on. So for example, when we were talking about things like health issues and postpartum issues, mental health I'm talking about that because that's something which I hear a lot nowadays, but I didn't hear about it before. And before, it was because it's not that it wasn't there, it was always there. It's just that the awareness wasn't there. So I think, as you innovate and you're trying to solve for problems that people are starting to talk about, and you're trying to solve new issues um, that are becoming more well known to the public at large. They may not be new problems, but it's just being brought to the surface as an awareness. So yeah, innovation is about solving problems and definitely very important.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what do you think about those particularly on the underserved or marginalized community? How do you think technology can be part of catering to mothers who are in the underserved and marginalized community, not only in
Yeah.
Malaysia but globally?
So the good thing is the growing usage of smartphones is amazing. Even in your B40 community, not so in Malaysia, you'll find that they all have a lot of them have smartphones. A lot of them are you know half the time on TikTok. So and which means they are able to download apps and learn from apps. So which means if you have, it doesn't have to be like just now I was talking about a bassinet, which is so expensive. That is something an underserved or marginalized community will never be able to afford, right? It just doesn't fit into that psyche, right, of that demographic. But everybody, or rather a large portion of the community, all have these smartphones. So if you can have an app which sort of like guides and explains issues and things like that to mom, so like a mummy app, and if it comes in its different languages, when you're talking about the marginalized community, if you can speak in all, even right down to going forward, if you can do like a orang asli kind of language and whatnot. So because they're all using smartphones anyway, they're all watching TikTok anyway. So that means it's not difficult to reach them by creating an app. It's just the education behind it of getting them to download it and then for them to learn about the problems that they're facing and how this app can then be useful for them throughout their motherhood journey. So yeah, there is a way to do it. There's a will, there's a way.
How about, okay, this is something that's been growing, especially in the millennial parents.
Mm,
What are your thoughts on should maternal care solutions also focus on fathers? Because, millennial dads are now very hands-on compared to those
yeah.
before them. Like nowadays, the dads are like, what can I do to help? I want to know more. I want to change the diaper. I want to learn how to braid the hair of my daughter. They really have stepped up and want to know how can they do their part as a father. So what do you think about innovations like helping the dads figure out motherhood alongside women,
I
mom?
think that's great. I think it's awesome. But maybe it shouldn't be the same app as what the mom is using, because the mom would have a lot more. Women will probably go, much deeper into all the issues that they're going through. But I think if there's a separate app for dads, for them to get straight, because men and women think very differently, and men are factual, very objective, that kind of thing. So if there's an app tailored specifically for dads, and in particular how they can support their wives through this entire journey in short and easy format, then I think if somebody develops that, that'll be great. Then that can work alongside the other app, which is for mummies. That because if you put the man for the in the loop with the mummy app, that's going to be too much for them. It's going to be lost. They're not even going to use it. So it's got to be an app that is simple and straightforward. And it's the whole point of that innovation is how the dad can support the mom. These are all the subtopics, Yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. Great idea, Nara.
I
Somebody
actually
should
have
do it.
this book here, which was gifted to my husband. I don't know if
Yeah.
you see this. So can you guys see this? Oh.
Oh, it's coming out white. Maybe read it. What's the title?
It's a dad's guide to baby's first year. So my husband was very diligently
Reading it.
a dummy's guide for dads about what goes through in a baby's life for the first year. So my husband was actually reading that
Yeah.
and it kind of helped him. So I was just wondering what kind of innovation would you like to see for dads? Because the parental role has actually changed now. And I also have another question to ask you. In terms of postpartum mother's health, right? Actually, pelvic floor and core strength issues is actually every mom's face them. Pelvic floor strength. After you deliver, the moms actually have very weak pelvic floor. What do you think about innovating in this space for moms? Because you need to gain back the strength of your pelvic floor or your core strength to regain your health or potentially prepare for another child. So have you seen anything around this specifically for moms
Yeah,
to
so not really. So what you just said is I never went through that, and I don't know many people who went through that. So I'm not sure if what you're telling me is a more common, newer problem now. We don't hear so much about that. So maybe something like that sounds very medical in nature, and the mom will probably have to work closely with the gynecologist and maybe even a physiotherapist, who would then help through those challenges. That's not something common I've heard of, actually. Interesting that you brought it up. Yeah, now I'll keep my eyes and ears open to see whether that's something that people are talking about.
because
Certainly in the Baby Dash community, people are not talking about that in our community. Not really. Yeah,
because
so I can't quite answer that.
postpartum, when we do postpartum yoga, it's all, I mean, pregnancy, postpartum, when we
Yeah.
do certain exercise, they always say about the strengthening of the pelvic floor, the labor and to, strengthen your body and pelvic floor is actually related to the spine and all that kind of technical
Okay,
stuff.
so the one thing which is quite common is I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's the diastasis recti. So it's the
Yes,
centered,
yeah,
right? It's the
yes,
bringing of that in to do core exercises.
yeah.
That one, yeah. So I think that one should be something. Um, Again, I think all medical practitioners, anybody who's dealing with a mom that's just delivered, should, and even midwives and even lactation consultants, because they're always helping the mom with from the breastfeeding point of view. But they can also be equipped with explaining to the mom that you're going through these. These are some of the basic exercises that you should be doing. Yeah, so I think this comes from the medical angle, and maybe that's something, if somebody is looking to build a post pregnancy kind of app thing, that should be a section is as to how to heal your body at home, and then these are all the little videos, things like that. Simple, because it shouldn't be too much and overwhelming. It should be just simple, straightforward, and easy for a mom to follow.
So my last question to you before we check the questions in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to enter the femtech space,
Yeah.
particularly addressing maternal health challenges? Because this femtech is niche and then you're innovating for mothers specifically.
Yeah.
And like we spoke about yesterday, when you talk about motherhood, it's actually so broad. Where do you want to target? There's a trying to get pregnancy, postpartum, and then the postpartum is not just 3 months or 1 year, it can go up to 4 years. So, what advice would you give entrepreneurs looking to innovate in maternal health
Yeah.
challenges?
So the starting point is most entrepreneurs, when they start something, is because they're solving a problem. And a lot of them are also, it's because of their own personal problem that they've realized there's a gap in the market, and let's go and solve it, because they're going through the pain themselves of not having a solution. So then the entrepreneur comes up with the solution to solve the personal problem that they've been through. Now, when you're talking about post-pregnancy and those kind of things, I think entrepreneurs are always optimistic and very positive people, and it's great to have that energy whereby you think, I'm going to solve this problem. These are all the steps I think I need to do to create this solution or this product to solve this problem. Now, but in the case of post pregnancy or those kind of issues, I think it'll be very good when an entrepreneur has an idea. My big advice would be to always go and team up with medical practitioners who you can bounce your ideas off and get their input. Because if you're trying to build a product, you need to have some level of credibility to build on what you're doing as well. So if you can have the science behind it, people from industry who can then help you with the journey, and even if they come on board as mentors, you need as many people as you can. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. Not too many, because too many cooks really spoil the whole thing. But you need to have trusted people who can who are experts in their respective fields, and you pull in their resources and build your product. So it's great for an entrepreneur to have all the ideas in the world, keep moving forward, but that entrepreneur needs to have guidance and advice from people in the biggest field, in the bigger medical field, to help them along the way. So I think that's very important.
How about, and do you have to add any other advice that comes to your mind?
Of course, if you're building something in the tech space, you better have a good tech team, and that's supremely important. And one of the key advice I would give would be to look out beyond Malaysia, because we do have tech expertise here, but then you also have very good tech expertise outside of Malaysia that are way ahead of Malaysia. So, like even for us, our tech expertise is not in Malaysia. So I do a lot of innovation, a lot of development, but my help is coming from overseas, not from Malaysia. So yeah, so that's another piece of advice.
So two advice. One is to work closely with healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
And the second one would be make sure you have a good tech support
Yeah,
if you're innovating in tech.
yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing that advice. Now I'm going to read some questions from the participants.
sure.
Shannon Chow mentioned, circling back to Babydash, could you share what inspired you to start Babydash? And how did your personal experiences shape your vision for the brand to where it is currently?
Well, what inspired me at the time was because there was no such thing as a platform that had everything from A to Z for mummies. So basically, we were innovating to create something new. At that time, there were many baby websites, but they would focus, let's say you would have one that was focusing purely on car seats and strollers. You might have one just on toys, those kind of things. But nobody was doing everything from diapers, milk, baby food, car seats, everything you can imagine in the whole mom and baby world. So we were the first to create that at that time. How has it shaped my vision for the brand? Well, because we were the first to create it, we also looked globally to see who had already achieved something like this. And I found a company in the US called diapers.com, and they had done an amazing job. So we didn't know about them. We actually were solving our own problem, and then we found them. So we use a lot of their strategies after that to build our company as well. So that, and then if you ask me now, we're still growing. We're still doing so many things. That's why I said we're still adding stuff every week to our site, because the vision is to be that perfect one-stop shop and help mummies throughout their entire journey. So that means we have to continuously evolve and bring in new innovative stuff all the time. So yeah, hope that answers the question.
The next question from Shannon also, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the early days of Babydash, and how did you overcome them?
In the early days, it was about building trust. When we were trying to build connections with all the brands and whatnot, we were unknown, right? So when we approach a big brand and that kind of thing, they'd be like, it was about convincing them to come online and convincing them to work with us. We were newbies, so that was a huge challenge. After that, of course, it changed dramatically. It was now, for example, I have brands approaching us every week to be listed on Babydash, and we have to then see out which ones we want to work with, which ones we don't, because we also QC everything that goes on Babydash. We're very particular about what is on our site. We don't just put any old product. We are very particular about what is sold, because it's got to be good quality, good standards for our mommy community. So yeah.
Okay, the last question from her is, what was the most rewarding milestone for you since founding Babydash?
Actually, maybe I can talk about two rewarding milestones. So one is when we actually raised funding for Babydash to really grow the company, because that shows that there were so many people who really believed in what we were doing and wanted to support us and be part of our journey and own a share of Babydash. So that was really rewarding to have that kind of validation. And the second one, which is actually a constant reward for us every day, is when customers actually message us and say, thank you so much. We really needed to get these products quickly, and we needed that. And Babydash was a lifesaver. And even right down to things like they come to us, customers come to us and they ask for advice, and they're like, oh, should we get this car seat, or can I get that stroller? I'm looking for a stroller that's cabin friendly, or my child has this skin rash, which product would you recommend? So we're always answering questions and trying to give advice to moms according to their personal problem that they're having. And so because we are very particular about customer service, and when we're able to help them, we get all these nice reviews where they come back to us and say, thank you so much, because you guys are a lifesaver. You made a difference to us. Some customers even will say things like, oh, I've been buying from Babydash for the last 7 years. So, and so to get that kind of feedback really is so rewarding because it just makes what we're doing so worthwhile, really motivates us.
That's very inspiring. Shannon mentioned, as you share about customer reviews and service, that's really essential, especially in the e-commerce marketplace space.
What? Sorry.
In the comment, she mentioned, thanks.
Oh, right.
So, is there anyone with any other questions in terms of maternal care? I have asked all my questions.
Okay, great.
Hi, Lavinie.
Hi.
Sorry if I got your name wrong. I'm Karen here. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
I'm Karen here.
Karen.
Hi. Thank you for sharing your wonderful journey. I'm kind of inspired, but I have a small teaching thought in my head.
Okay.
If you do notice that we are actually about to be an aging nation, and there has been a lot of heat around the declining birth rate in Malaysia, right? So, I mean, of course, we're always optimistic about when we're talking about ventures and all, but sustaining the business is also one of the key driving factor to start a business as well. What are your thoughts on the declining birth rate, and how do you think it is going to impact the whole maternal and postpartum journey in ladies? That's my question.
Yeah, no, what you said is absolutely correct. And but you imagine this, Karen, there are 33, 34 million people in Malaysia. That's our population. Previously, the data I have is that there are 500,000 babies born in Malaysia every year. And so if that's declining, then it probably comes down to 480,000, 470,000 every year, that sort of thing. So if you look at it as a whole, any business that's in the maternal space, you do not have 100% of the entire market. You have a small section of the entire market. And everybody has a different percentage of the market, so to speak. So I think declining birth rates, yes, it is there, but it's unless you have 100% of the market, then that declining birth rate doesn't really affect you if it declines. And that's just one part of it. If you're doing something in Malaysia, you start off in Malaysia, but very quickly you look outside of Malaysia, especially since Malaysia is a small market. So, to counter what you've just said, you might want to go into Singapore, you might want to go into Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, that sort of thing. And then you make your market wider. Suddenly you're not talking to you're not a population of 33, 34 million anymore. Suddenly it's 200 million people. Suddenly it's 300 million people, right? So it's about pivoting according to what you think is necessary for your business to grow even further. But I think that is your question issue when the business is extremely large and has a big chunk of the market. Then something like that would affect you. But when you're just starting out, and if it's for the first X amount of years, something like that doesn't really affect you because it's too small. See? Hope that makes sense somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, I think this off my head, like, why only focus in one country? Because when you start something, you're talking about expanding also.
Yeah, 100%.
In countries like Thailand and Indonesia, birth rate, I never see it being a problem. So they can be our potential customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I
And
just
it's
ask?
borderless, right? With
Yeah.
technology, it's borderless. Yeah.
Yeah. I just add on one more question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I see a lot of these services that, whatever that's technology based, mainly requires people taking money out of the pocket. One thing I noticed, women in the lower income society, they are access is limited when it comes to attaining this kind of services, and I do see this as a challenge. Like, what would you suggest? Like, how do you leverage your service and also date against making it affordable for your customers? Like, because I believe health is universal, everybody should have access to it. From an entrepreneur point of view, if you mind sharing.
Yeah, so it really depends on what you're creating. But if you look at many models out there, they all have a free segment, and then it goes into a freemium segment whereby part of their service is free. And if you want deeper services and whatnot, then that's where you have a paying segment. Maybe you need to think of something like that, like a hybrid sort of thing where the free sort of thing supports everyone at large. And then those who have some level of disposable income can go into the premium sort of categories. But I think it depends on what you're creating, because if it's something that is so good and so worthwhile for the community at large, and you feel that, no one should be left out, especially the marginalized, then you may want to team up with a corporate who will then be able to come in and sponsor what you're doing as their corporate responsibility. Because don't forget, a lot of these big companies are always looking for a way to help society. And so, in a way, you're giving them an outlet saying, hey, team up with me. I'm doing this something very special for the mummy community, for the underserved community. If you guys come in on your CSR side, then we can build a partnership. So it's about you thinking out of the box to see who can come in to support you, who then, which one, your product and your offering to the larger community that possibly couldn't afford it. So it's about thinking out of the box, really.
I didn't see that. That's a very good point. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, because think an entrepreneur, you cannot do everything yourself. You're not, although entrepreneurs always think they can do everything, they're wearing like 10 different hats all the time. But you need to work your network around you, and you need to work, opportunities, and see who you can team up with, who you can partner with, who can support you on your journey, Yeah.
Thank you. That's very enlightening. Thank you so much.
Sure. Happy to help.
Thank you, Karen, for the questions. It was really insightful to hear, what Lavinie had to say. Thanks for your questions. Anybody else has any questions? We are wrapping up shortly. Shannon Chow has another question about Babydash. Could you share more about how your customer service handles reviews, customers, etc.?
Yeah. So the first thing I will tell you is that we're not 100% perfect. Of course, we've had mishaps and we've had negative reviews as well before, so which is normal in any business. So long as most of the time you're doing a very good job, then when you have those negative things, then it's about trying to understand what happened, what went wrong. Sometimes it's because we partner with different partners. So for example, I can give you a simple example. If somebody buys something and that item is faulty, or it's arrived it's got some kind of defect, their first point would be to come back to Babydash and then get upset, thinking that we sold them something that, but actually what we sell is everything brand new and we don't actually open and tamper with the stuff in there. So our job then is to troubleshoot, to see, hey, what exactly happened here? And then we liaise with the brand owner, go back to the say, hey, was this item faulty to begin with? And then solve problems that way. So sometimes something that it's about to turn a negative review into something positive because you've solved a problem positively. Of course, all the other reviews, which are all nice and happy, they've received something fast. No, we are so grateful we get those reviews. But we also get those where people are unhappy because something went wrong. So the point is, how do we troubleshoot a negative situation and how do we turn it around and make it positive? Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing. I guess we don't have any more questions. So I'm just going to talk about let me share my screen. Cool insights about maternal care and how it has evolved throughout the years since you were a mom to now, and also sharing how Babydash is trying to help modern moms and save our time and hassle and everything. So what you're doing is really great. It's life-saving. I've used your website many times. It saved my life. So thank you so much. So everyone, we hope that you found this webinar insightful. And if you're a femtech, do apply to Alpha Startups, where you'll be able to validate your idea, achieve product market fit, and grow your business. The Alpha Startups, for her is open to startups at all stages, welcoming founders of all genders. Feel free to scan the QR code. And our next webinar will be happening next week with Oreta, and where we will be talking about women who are aging and their solutions. So thank you very much, everyone. Lavinie, thank you so much for being here today. We will be sending everybody the recording, and also we'll share Lavinie's LinkedIn account. If anybody has any questions, I guess they can reach out to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure, anytime.
All
Happy
right.
to help.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.